Coming up on Tekzilla, is your smartphone ready for emergencies? Quality of service, not just for restaurants, crazy customizable CPU comparisons, secrets of VLC, and more. So pop open that jar of peanut butter and ready those celery sticks, because Tekzilla starts now.
This episode of Tekzilla is sponsored by Domain.com, Lynda.com, and Jack Threads.
I'm Patrick Norton.
I'm Veronica Belmont.
Welcome to Tekzilla, hands-on reviews of the latest tech and how to make the most out of the gear you've already got.
Whether you're a beginner, tech support for your friends and family, if you've got a question about tech or why bow ties are totally cool, we've got an answer for you.
Because Roger Chang wears them.
Yes.
Yes, he does.
Something new I learned about Roger.
He owns
wears
an
the bow ties.
astonishing collection of bow ties.
I had no idea.
Oh, yes.
No clue.
That's okay. Roger, very secretive person, especially about bow ties.
Secret fashionista.
Rumor has it over 1,000 bow ties.
No.
It's true.
Unsubstantiated rumors here.
Robert and I were talking CPU performance last week and why we felt the viewers' Core i7-920 wasn't the problem with gaming and that they needed to update their aging GPU, which led to an email from Len and Agnes who wrote, "Hi there, just wanted to share with you Tom's Hardware CPU and GPU hierarchy charts, just in reference to the gaming performance between products. These are really cool. So this one we're looking at best gaming CPUs for the money. They've got them for a whole bunch of devices. And look, there's qualifiers here. Originally based on average performance each CPU achieved, specific titles were performed differently, but the idea is that, look kids, this is the Core i7-920s down in this group down here, and then you bump up to the 980, 970, 960, and look, and there's lots of ad choices. And here's like kind of the classic $300 part right now, the 3770 or 3770K. But the idea is that, hey, the latest processors are getting faster. This is a good thing. They have a similar stack for GPU hierarchy, except it's much more cutthroat, much more simple. Look, the newer the GPU, generally speaking, the faster it's going to be. I oversimplify there, but GPUs, you can get really complicated really quickly. But let's take a look at that Core i7 3770K. This is kind of like the cool guy version of the 3770. Either one of them are really good parts. Take a look at this. Just found this out when I was searching around on this after seeing the CPU hierarchy charts from Anand. This is AnandTech Bench. It essentially gives you access to the internal benchmarks data from AnandTech.com. It's really cool. It lets you directly compare products without, well, I'll read it from them. Gives you access to our internal benchmark data so you can compare the products without searching for an older review. It's pretty freaking awesome because right now we're looking at the Core i7-920 versus the Core i7 3770K. 3770K is hard to say with braces. But you look at this, and it looks like there's this massive ass kicking going on. In some cases, especially like video rendering, there's like a 60% lead for the 3770K. But in gaming, that lead narrows considerably. Where is it? Like, there's Skyrim, there's Diablo 3, and it's down to like 25%, 28%, 20%. That is, you know what I mean? I don't want to spend $300 for a new CPU to get a 20% in performance when I might get a 60% gain in performance by getting a new GPU. Like we said last week, GPU the thing to replace first. I love this though. I've never seen this before at AnandTech.com. Bench, and they let you compare CPUs, SSDs, GPUs. And you actually kind of dig around, find the part you have now, and get a very direct comparison with the part you want to replace it with. I thought that was really freaking awesome.
That's handy, and it will definitely help you not only save money, but also get the performance, the best performance possible out of your gaming rig.
Well, it's always so funny. It's just like, well, the part's 2 years. Right now, GPUs are getting faster, and they're getting really fast. But if you're gaming at 1080p, you kind of don't need a $1,000 GPU. You barely need a $500 GPU. You're probably going to be really happy with a $300 GPU. Now, if you're gaming at 4K, if you're doing multiple monitor gaming, totally different situation. But 1080p gaming, you don't need a $1,000 GPU. With processor performance, it's crazy because like a Core i3 will do just about anything you need it to do until you get to like video rendering huge photos and gaming, right? You know what I mean? If all mom or dad or Uncle Fred, is doing, it's like, I spent a lot of time on the Flash games and I spent a lot of time browsing the interwebs, don't get them a Core i7. Matter of fact, if you're not video editing or doing a lot of gaming, you don't need a Core i7. don't waste the money.
We've talked a lot on the show about emergency preparedness.
Yes.
Having go bags, having,
Yes.
stuff to power your house in case suddenly there's a natural disaster.
We live in earthquake
We
country.
do.
My
We know this
parents
very well.
live on an island that floods a lot.
Yeah.
We have friends that live in the mountains where the forest fires start. We believe in being prepared.
Yeah, and ever since I was a little kid, I've always had a little laminated card in my wallet that has the phone numbers of my family, people that paramedics or hospitals would call if I ended up, stranded in a hospital somewhere.
Sorry, I'm envisioning Paddington with the tag that says, please take care of this bear. So it says,
No.
please take care of this Veronica.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just a little card. But in this day and age, police or paramedics are probably just as likely to check your phone to see who they should call. And that's where ICE apps come in. That stands for in case of emergency. Now, the easiest way to inform someone of who to call in case of an emergency is by making that info the wallpaper on your smartphone.
Ooh.
It's a pretty easy, you don't need an app for that. All you need to do is go into a note-taking app, any kind of app that you can write information down on, take a screenshot, and then make that your default background. It's not pretty, but it works. But there are a ton of apps out there that can go even further. ICE, in case of emergency, for iOS, allows you to set your emergency contacts and assign them relationships. So if I click over here into ICE contacts, we have Ryan, my husband, my mom, my best friend, and my dad. And then you can keep adding different contacts here just by going through your list and then saying what kind of relationship you have with that person. You can also enter in on the main page your address, your allergies, your blood type, medications. You can even add in a scan of your driver's license. So if you have a picture of that, or if you just want to enter in the information there, it's a great way to kind of have that right on hand in case somehow your wallet's not with you, it's missing. The only thing you have on you is your phone. I don't know why that would be the case, but who knows?
But this is also, we should point out, buried behind. You have to log into the phone to get to this information.
You don't. It actually sticks a button on your lock screen. So
really?
it'll add things to your wallpaper. You launch the wallpaper maker, and then you can see in case of emergency, there's that phone number. Please blur that out. I don't want Ryan's phone number on Tekzilla. Please blur that out. But also, a lot of the different apps, like the one on Android, will actually create a button right in the home screen that you can slide to unlock, and it will take you directly into that app. And speaking of Android, for Android, I like the exactly named ICE in case of emergency, just like the other app. They make it pretty clear. It's $4, but it has a lot of great features, and I think it looks better than its iOS counterpart. To be clear, there are a ton of apps out there like these, so shop around. They all do pretty similar things. This one has more in-depth family info that you can enter in as well. So mainly the difference between putting something on your home screen and installing an app is that you can put a button on that lock screen, like I mentioned, especially in the case of Android, where you can open up more detailed medical information to help rescuers kind of learn more about your conditions.
Cool.
Yeah, so it sounds like overkill, and it may be annoying to some people who don't want to see that button on their Android phone all of the time. But it's good. Even if you lose your phone, they have a contact number where they can get back in touch with you.
I've always found finding things aesthetically displeasing being a distant second to surviving a terrible catastrophe, but that's just me. That's just you.
Yeah, who knows?
Is that a 5S?
It is a 5S.
Is it delightful?
It is my gold 5S. It is. You can't really tell that it's gold because I have it in this gadget case, but it's delightful. It is.
She's
Sorry,
so
Android
happy.
people. I know. I gave in.
Coming up next, we're going to talk about quality of service and figuring out who's responsible for your video or your downloads being slow. Right now, though, let's take a moment to thank one of our sponsors.
Entrepreneurs and innovators are all turning ideas into realities online, backed by the strength of a .NET domain name. .NET is one of the world's most popular domain extensions, and a .NET domain name from domain.com will inject your business with instant credibility. Already have a .com? Purchase the corresponding .NET from domain.com and protect your online brand. Is the .com you want already taken? The .NET is a perfect alternative. We like domain.com because they're affordable. .NET addresses are only $8.99 a year. They're also reliable and easy to use. The folks at domain.com want to hook up our fans with an awesome offer. Get 20% off their already affordable domain names and web hosting when you use the coupon code Tekzilla at domain.com's checkout. That's 20% and big time savings. Don't forget to use the coupon code Tekzilla. And when you think domain names, think domain.com.
Brandon posts up on Facebook, I have just recently moved and seen an episode where you talked about QoS. I always have trouble watching a 720p YouTube video. Was wondering if you could tell me how to configure it. P.S. I have a Linksys E4200 V1 router. Joining us, ladies and gentlemen, to discuss quality of service, Mr. Quality of Service himself, Roger Chang, series producer Tekzilla.
Worked retail for 4 years. I know service.
We know
to an extent.
Don't forget the lifetime of restaurant experience.
Yes,
Decades
lifetime.
between the two of us.
About a decade.
Okay, so let's talk quality of service. At its core, QoS is about prioritizing your network packets so that the most important packets get first dibs on the limited network or internet bandwidth that is available. There's a first step.
There's a first step. The number one step you need to find out is if the issue is within your router, your home network, or with your ISP.
Yeah, or we should say somewhere between the server sending you the video or file and your ISP.
So the simplest way to kind of test that out is actually to plug your machine, whether it's a laptop, PC, directly into your DSL cable modem and run a speed test. And you know, it's very simple. You go to speedtest.net, and actually ran one earlier, and as you can see, I have almost a symmetrical download and upload speed. In fact, the one at home I actually have is rates at 57 megabits per second, and this actually leads to my one, not my one, but my one of many comments about this. You need to be careful about what you get from download speeds like this, because oftentimes when you use a consumer level cable modem service, they have what they call boost. And what happens is when you start downloading or whatever, it tends to kind of amp it up to make it seem like
the first 30 seconds of your download is super fast, and then it tapers down over time, which ironically works really well to make things look really fast on speed test.
But when it comes to video, not so much. In fact, you can actually use another tool called GlassNOS, and it basically tests to see if your ISP is shaping your traffic. Unfortunately, it will not work on my laptop, but it does work on my PC, so check it out. But definitely, you do want to figure out whether or not it is at your ISP end or at your local network end. Because if it's not at your local network end, it doesn't matter what kind of QoS or fancy router you have, it ain't going to help anything.
So seriously, try playing the YouTube 720p video when you're attached to your cable modem, when you're attached to your DSL router. If you can, plug directly in your cable modem or router. If you can't, use a gigabit Ethernet connection. But try different services. You know, try Vimeo, try YouTube, try revision3.com. See if it makes a difference. Because sometimes you'll find out, and this is a problem we had in some of our previous employment, where for some reason this video service worked fine, but ours didn't, and we ended up having to do things like change the routing of the packets through the internet to get to different locations.
And what's even more confusing is that even within YouTube, you can have different performance levels. For example, a very popular music video that's being bankrolled by EMI or some like Warner Brothers music label will generally get you very good speeds, but if you try to watch someone else's video of their vacation that's in 720 or 1080p, might not be so great.
This would be examples of traffic shaping.
Yes.
So, you've tested your video. You're connected directly to your router, and you can't play the video. You might want to try a different web browser. Try Firefox. Try Chrome. Try updating Flash on your computer. Try reinstalling a fresh browser, just in case it's something that's screwed up on your machine. Make sure you're not running anything else in the background. Shut everything down except for the one tab on the one browser with that video open, and see if that makes a difference.
And if you can, maybe borrow someone else's machine to make sure it's not just your machine.
Right.
Sometimes, I've learned this much to my detriment, that sometimes one machine can totally throw everything off, and it was something you installed or something that you broke that is causing a performance issue.
Yeah.
Now, saying that's all good, you get awesome speed. You can watch, Star Wars pirated 1080p video from YouTube on your laptop directly connected. That means it's probably your router. And with routers, at least most consumer routers right now support something called QoS, which is quality of service. Now, the thing you want to ensure is that sometimes there are features that are like WMM, which is called Wi-Fi multimedia extensions, which in effect allows a wirelessly connected to your router, notebook, or handheld device to basically get better performance. It's kind of like QoS for Wi-Fi. So you want to make sure that's checked within all your settings, your laptop, your router, your application. But once you get down to the nitty-gritty of the QoS, I'm going to show you here on our router, the TP-Link. Unfortunately, it has a very simple control system, QoS, not a very sophisticated one, but adequately enough to show you. So in this version, it's actually called bandwidth control, and one of the first things you want to do is to tell the router what your total bandwidth is. So this is based on your speed test. And generally, you want to make sure that you do not go over it. This is how it budgets bandwidth. If you give too much, it assumes you have a lot more. It's going to start doing things differently, and you will actually cause performance issues. So in this case, I basically said we have had 20,000 kbps. Now, once that's set, I save it, and I go to a rules list, and now I add my first one, which is the IP of the machine that I want affected. And here, let me see if I can modify this. You show the IP range. If you want a set of machines or your one machine, I just basically chose this machine. Port range, because YouTube is based off HTTP, it's port 80. And the protocol, even though HTTP is TCP, YouTube is UDP, so I make sure that's enabled, or you can just do all.
Clear as mud.
Clear as mud. Egress bandwidth, that means data that's going out, the minimum bandwidth. This is important. This is the threshold which it will not go below. That means QoS will not allow the bandwidth to dip below 6,000. And 6,000 is about, or 6,000 kbps is about the limit for 720p HD video on YouTube to play comfortably.
Right.
So if you go below that, that's where you get the stuttering and some of the other issues. And max bandwidth, you can put whatever you want. You can set to usually whatever the max amount is on your router. You click save. Now, once you do that, you actually want to start adding, and I haven't done this, but you also want to add everything else because you want to set rules for all the other devices that you have on your network. And then that's where you want to start limiting. So for example, bandwidth, if it's something like an FTP server that I don't need running all the time, I can probably set this down to 10 because it's not a big issue. Even if it trickles in, because I want to watch my YouTube videos. And you know, the max bandwidth, I make sure I'll blunt it, so I'll leave it at 5,000. So even though someone's FTPing to my server on my home network, it's not going to interrupt my YouTube video watching for some reason.
I think 10 might be a little bit low on the threshold there, but that's just me.
Well, you know, but see, this is kind of the thing. It depends on your personal setup. Some people, this isn't an issue. They're just getting people's homework as a text file, so you don't really need a large bandwidth.
Point taken.
And you want to kind of do this for each case that you have in your network. Now, the thing is, you want to test this incrementally because sometimes any kind of changes that you make might throw something off. So you want to kind of do it 10% increments. So you kind of keep raising up that threshold until you find a happy medium where everything seems to work.
It also occurs to me there's probably one other thing you should do before you start tweaking your QoS settings. If it's a laptop that has the problem playing a video, start with the laptop like next to the router. Once you verify that everything plays okay when you're connected directly to the router or directly to your modem, if you want to do it wirelessly, start by making sure the wireless is actually decent going to whatever bedroom or kitchen or closet or bathroom you're using the laptop in, because it would be bad to spend hours configuring QoS to find out you have the same problem because you have crappy network coverage in some part of your house.
And you know, ideally, if your notebook allows it, test it with a wired connection first. And to make sure that it is your network and not something with Wi-Fi. Again, you know, there are a multitude of issues why your YouTube HD playback might be crappy, and it might not be your network, and it may be your network, but it might be the one machine on your network and not your entire network. And I would also say when you do any of this, make sure everything else is unplugged. Have that one machine only on the router until you got it worked out. That way you can, as you slowly, again, add the different devices back on, you can troubleshoot and make sure that they aren't interfering.
Thank you, Mr. Chang. Ladies and gentlemen, more Tekzilla coming right up, but before that, let's take a moment to thank one of our sponsors.
Guys, it's time to upgrade your wardrobe, and you can do it with style at Jack Threads. Jack Threads has quickly become the #1 online shopping destination for guys. Here's why. You can save up to 80% on all the style and fall wardrobe, because full price is for suckers. They serve up killer contemporary and street apparel, accessories and gadgets from brands like Converse, Penguin, Nixon, and more. Shopping is stupid simple, and all styles are curated, so buyer's remorse just doesn't happen. And as a Jack Threads member, if you refer a friend to Jack Threads, you get a $10 shopping credit for each buyer you refer. Plus, as a viewer of Tekzilla, you can skip the membership waitlist and get instant access at signup.jackthreads.com/Tekzilla.
You've heard us talk about VLC before. It's our favorite Swiss Army knife of video players, especially for the random files that, just won't play anywhere else. Well, version 2.1 was just released, and it's got a lot of new features to it.
New features in this version, it's a long list. GPU acceleration for OS X, quick sync encoding on Windows. That's a big plus for Sandy Bridge and Up owners. Jean Baptiste Kampf, a developer for the project, said, quote, "This version fixes some important architecture mistakes we've done in 2.0.x branch of VLC. Notably speaking of the lag and reactivity, notably on volume change and seeking, but also some grave video settings propagation." Sounds frightening. And that they adapted the core for the next formats arriving, HEVC, VP9. It looks like the next version will be ready for the Ultra HD codecs for you 4K video fiends out there. You know who you are. It's kind of funny. It's like it'll now support 4K resolutions, but now it needs to support the cool new codecs that will enable us to pack 4K and put it over existing channels.
Yes, all great additions, of course, but we also wanted to highlight the top 5 little known but super useful features of VLC. Well, for one, you can play downloading files. If you're downloading a video file, don't wait for the file to finish. Drag the file to VLC and it will start playing right away. Better yet, copy the video URL and paste it into the open network box to stream from the website.
Play files within archives. If somebody sends you a video in a zip file, you can play the movie without unzipping. This even works with split file RARs.
Ooh, convert formats. The new version makes this even more straightforward. Choose File, Convert, and then drag your media file. From there, you can customize the output settings and set a save location.
Screenshots. It is easy to take a still frame for videos. When you're on a frame you want to grab, choose Video Snapshot so you can show everyone that one scene when the R2-D2 gag in Star Trek Into Darkness.
And a podcast manager of VLC can be used to track your favorite RSS feeds. Who knew? Choose the subscribe button at the bottom and paste it in the URL of the feed. This doesn't download the files, but it does give you instant access to streaming.
This is a good thing.
Yeah, I'm excited about that at least.
It's not just for playing the videos, nothing else will play anymore.
It really is. Calling it like the Swiss Army knife of video players is so appropriate.
It is.
It does so many different things and it does it so well.
Videoland.org. Download it, it's free. It is a gigantic bag of awesome.
The giant orange cone in your applications list. We've got more of your emails still to come, but first let's take a moment to thank one of our sponsors.
Do you want to upgrade your skill set but can't afford the time and money you need for a traditional learning environment? Don't worry, you can learn it at lynda.com, the online learning company with more than 77,000 video tutorials that teach software, creative, and business skills. Membership starts at $25 a month, and it provides unlimited 24/7 access to top quality video courses taught by expert instructors with real-world experience. And the great thing is you can learn anytime, anywhere, and at your own pace, from bite-sized tutorials to comprehensive courses in motion graphics, programming, web design, and more. Plus, new courses are added every week, and the training library keeps pace with today's fast-changing technical and software skills. So try lynda.com free for 7 days by visiting lynda.com/Tekzilla and get the skills you need to get ahead.
John writes in from Santa Rosa, home of my favorite dentist. Hey guys, love the show. Just got a pair of Audio Engine P5 speakers and was wondering if I should invest in Audio Engine's D1 DAC, a New Force UDAC 3, or a sound card like the Asus Zonar Essence STX or D-Cara. I listen to FLAC audiophiles, mostly jazz and blues, and do everything from gaming and watching Blu-rays on my computer. Any advice you could provide would be greatly appreciated. John in Santa Rosa. We should explain what a DAC is.
Yes.
A digital to analog converter. Takes the zeros and ones that are in your FLAC file or the audio track of your Blu-ray player or your video game. Basically, it turns the digital sounds in your machine into an analog signal that traditional amplifiers or headphones or headphone amps can play.
What are you looking for?
I could have sworn I had a DAC sitting back. I own like 5 DACs. It's a thing. It's a problem. It's also a problem when you can't find all of your DACs before a demo. Well, okay, so
Just pretend he's holding a DAC.
pretend I'm holding a DAC. Well, actually, look, let's go up to Amazon.com for a second, right? There are a lot of DAC options out there. Theo being one of the ones, it's kind of an importer that we saw some of their stuff at CES for the first time, but you keep going through here and there's just a ton of stuff. AudioQuest, Firefly. This is a really interesting idea. They've got a USB DAC that's going to work with your PC. Some DACs are designed to be, well, look, there are about 1 billion options on DACs. It's kind of like everything else in the audio/audiophile world. The Zonar cards sound fantastic. Stereophile put one on the cover a few years ago. I would take the Zonar card over the D-Cara, and under $200 is a nice place to start. Because if you start doing like, let's see, Benchmark, DAC, I bet we'll see a $2,000 DAC. It would be easier if I could actually spell. Okay, you can now get a DAC 1 from Benchmark for $1,100. But the idea is that there are a lot of options in digital analog converters. It's easy to spend thousands. You know, are they worth getting? Yes.
What are the most important use cases for this? Like, why would I, if I had analog speakers, is
Right.
that like the only reason?
Well, I mean, almost all speakers are analog, right? It's a very rare, like,
I guess that was a stupid question. I'm just trying to figure out for someone who
needs a
doesn't
DAC?
know. Yeah, who needs a DAC?
Okay, if you think your audio could sound better, that's what's in your computer. It's kind of funny. What I was starting to say is, like, I own like 5 DACs. I own like a $600 DAC. I own like a $100 DAC that's combined with a headphone amp. And 98% of the time, I am listening to the headphone output on a laptop or a desktop. Do the DACs sound better? In some cases, is it almost impossible to tell because the audio section of motherboards have gotten so much better than they used to be? Yes. Am I going to get some crazy email to Tekzilla at revision3.com? People going like, obviously your ears are broken, Mr. Norton. A superior audio experience can almost always be had with an internal audio card such as the Zonor or an external DAC. Yes.
Is that what our audience sounds like to you?
The person I'm thinking of sounds
Okay.
like that. Look, I mean, it's you've just bought, like, I think you actually have the Audio Engine. There's the Audio Engine 5 Plus, and there's Audio Engine P4, right? So these are like $400 a pair. This is a nice set of powered speakers. You know, if you had something where, you know, do you need an Audio Engine D1? I don't know. You know, it's $170. Do they have a return policy? Try it if you think it sounds better. Keep it. If you don't think it sounds better, return it or try a less expensive option. You know, the Zonar cards are about $200. $170, not a bad idea. And the idea is that you take the very best components, you know, the external ones, you isolate them from all the crud going inside of your PC, and you allow people to hopefully have a better audio experience. The question is, can you hear the difference with your music? Only you can decide.
And can you hear it $170 difference?
Or $2,000.
Or $2,000 difference. All right.
Yeah.
Up next, we have a tweet from Wang Chung Chung who says, at Patrick Norton, where did all the Rev3 RSS feeds go? I have no way to add new shows to my downloader. Where are they at?
So
Where
if you
they
go
at?
to Tekzilla.com or revision3.com/Tekzilla, and we're going to scroll all the way down below the video, and I apologize, I got to hit pause because I just can't take too much of me screaming. For reasons we don't entirely know, you need to click down to here. So there's the video. There's a big button down, well, there's a big thing down here called share. And then if
Okay.
you keep going, after you've clicked share, there are the RSS feeds.
Okay.
I don't know why they're down there, but that's where they are. We're going to try to
Because
get
we
them.
realize it's beneficial for us to make it as difficult as possible to subscribe to our episodes.
This is
somehow.
where my grandfather would look at me and go, don't be a smartass. Because I said the exact same thing when I saw that. You can also check out the Where to Watch page. I think we're going to try to get the RSS feeds added to the Where to Watch page, and we're also going to try to get a tab on that page that makes it easier to find it. But by the way, if you didn't know, we have a Roku app, we have Xbox 360 apps, Google TV apps, we have all sorts of apps you can run on your devices. And for everyone who's emailed about the TiVo issues with the new TiVo devices, the Romeos, we are working on it. We are getting one in. We are going to fix it. I swear to goodness. But keep emailing us so I can keep emailing our engineering department so they prioritize it higher and higher. But the RSS feeds being buried there, I don't really understand either.
Help us help you.
And we will do our best to help you help us stay on the air.
Yes.
And Steve Ken tweets, just wondering, is the cam that is on you on Tekzilla different from the other two? It looks to add depth, and it looks nicer. We don't talk about it much, but Veronica and Robert are actually very lifelike 3D renderings. We're doing a partnership with Google and NVIDIA.
I want the nicer camera.
Well, here, let's switch. Veronica Belmont stepping around to my camera.
Okay.
I know this is going to feel weird, but roll with it. If you think Veronica looks better, by all means, we got to switch to one.
Whoa.
Does Veronica look better?
I don't know why this is my de facto, like, do I look better face? Do I? All right, let's move back.
As far as
this
we
makes me
know-
uncomfortable.
It's just weird on that side of the table. All three cameras, exactly the same Grass Valley cameras, exactly the same Grass Valley lenses, and actually the thing where you tune them, they've all been calibrated so they should all
It's
look
just that
exactly
Patrick
the
is
same.
so much larger than life. He just pops out at you onto the screen every time the
Maybe I'm
signal's
the
on
3D
him.
rendering.
Maybe you are.
Ooh. It's going to be hard to explain to my wife. Got a tech question for us? Send it in to Tekzilla at revision3.com or follow us on Google+.
Also, you can find us on Twitter at Tekzilla, at Robert Heron, at Patrick Norton, and at Veronica. Tweet us your questions, suggestions, or comments. Thank you guys so much for watching.
I'm Patrick Norton.
I'm Veronica Belmont.
Until next time, you've been watching Tekzilla.
Bye.